Welcome to Microcap Explosions. This is Mariusz Skonieczny. I am talking with Dwan from the Most Dwanderful Podcast. Dwan, thank you very much for joining me.
Hey, thanks. I'm so excited to talk to you again.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk to you because we had a chat on your podcast, and we're both in an area where we're trying to kind of share our path about financial wealth, financial independence. And your story is interesting because nowadays, I see a lot of people that are finding excuses for why they cannot achieve something, why I can't do this, why I can't do this. And your path was, kind of rough. It wasn't easy,
No.
single mom to get into this. So let's just jump right into it. Like, who are you? Like, how did you get into the financial wealth building, and what kind of struggles did you have to go through? Like, just lay it out there.
Okay. So just to date things, I'm 63 now. And when I started real estate investing, I was 30. So 30 years ago, we would have been like 1990-ish. Real estate investing was definitely like a man's business. It was a man's world. There were no women rehabbers. Like, I was really, besides, I was just a super fish out of water. So that initially made it difficult to break into the business because, nobody would take me serious. Back then I had like the big blonde permed hair,
It wasn't red, but it wasn't red back then.
They take me serious now even with the pink hair because I've been doing it for 33 years. But I started off, my husband and I went through a really unexpected divorce, and my daughter was only 8 months old. So now I have an 8-month-old daughter. I have no job. He took the car. I have no money. Like, I was really left in a super shitty, if I can say that, situation. Just broke, no car, and nothing, but I had the baby. I was like, all right, I got the baby, so I still win. And, we just all have those moments sometimes where you have to make a decision. And I thought, this is my moment. I'm 30 years old. If I don't try to work for myself, I'm always going to work for somebody else. And right now, while she's little, I can move, I can do whatever, I can try. So I found some people that were rehabbers. They were buying houses and they were fixing them up and they were selling them. So my naive little mind hears, oh, we buy houses, we decorate, we sell them. And I'm thinking, I love to decorate. I can do that. I can decorate houses. That's what I'm going to do. I did not know that rehabbing and decorating were not the same thing. Literally, I did not know that. So I find this house and I can't afford to live here and do this house. I'm living on credit cards. I get like $65,000 in credit card debt. But I moved into this house and I fixed it up while I was living in it. So Ayla's with me every day. I'm working on this house. I'm really enjoying it. I've never done like physical labor like that before. But, it's really good. A good way to work out all your anxiety. And I'd be smashing the cabinets and ripping things off the wall. I'm thinking about my ex. So it was very therapeutic as well. But I sold that house and I made $22,000 on my first deal. And I was like, wow, that's the most money I've ever had. It's the most money I've ever seen. It's the most money I've ever known anybody to have. $22,000 back in the early 90s, that's a lot of money to have in a lump. And I thought, okay. And I had fun, so I'm going to do it again. Did another one. And next thing you know, I'm rehabbing, and now I'm meeting other people, and they're all men, and they're all like, oh, yeah, I can't take her serious. She's a girl. So I had a hard time kind of getting into the boys club and getting into the loop of things, and people, sending me deals my direction and let me send them deals. But I'm very persistent, and I just kept plugging away and kept doing my thing. And then those real estate investing groups started. So my very first real estate investing group, I was already in the business a couple of years. I went to it, all men. And after about a year or so, I thought, I'm going to start my own damn group. So
what group?
A real estate investing group, the real estate investing associations. So after just a year or two, I was like, I'm just going to start my own. Like, these guys over here don't want to play nice with me. So I started a real estate investors association in Florida. I didn't know anything about that either. So I'm running a group. I'm rehabbing houses. I'm trying to train and teach. And even back then, like, even with under 10 deals under my pocket, under my belt, I still wanted to teach and help other people. Because right away I thought, listen, I'm broke. I'm single. I was fired from Denny's. I went through a hell of a divorce. And I thought, you know what? If I can make money doing this, other people can too.
So
So
why didn't you, because a lot of, women, especially during those days, you're supposed to get a husband, you're supposed to get married, and you didn't do that. Like you went through a
well,
divorce and
I
then
got married.
yeah.
My husband was a piece of shit. He left. I decided I didn't want to do that again. So, I really just thought, I'm 30 years old. I just went through a crappy marriage. I got an 8-month-old baby. What kind of guy leaves an 8-month-old baby? And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to make it on my own. I'm just going to figure out how I can raise my daughter and I can be responsible for myself. And it really was 30 years ago. People don't really realize it, but my whole family was like, find another husband, get married, raise a family. And man, like there was not a person in my family that said, oh yeah, you should buy houses and fix them up and sell them. That's a good thing for a woman to do. Nobody, not a single person. They're all like, you're crazy, just find another man. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to find another man. I want to just be independent on my own, and then I'll maybe find a man later. So I raised Aylin for 13 years. I was single for 13 years before I married Bill. And during that 13 years, I rehabbed houses. I started wholesaling. You get under contract, sell to somebody else, make the money in the middle. I started a real estate investing association. I wrote a book. Someone asked me to write a book. It became a bestseller, and I owned a bunch of rentals, and I bought a house, and I had a car, and I had a boat. And I was like, I don't need no man. And then that, of course, is when you meet the one that you're really meant to be with, because you don't need them. You want them. It's nice to have them, but you don't need them to survive. So women need to understand a man is not a plan.
Yeah, I don't have very many women listening to my channel. It's like less than 1%. I need you to bring me some women.
I will bring you women. So all of you men that listen, when you find a wonderful and strong, independent woman, don't be intimidated or like, oh my gosh, because the best thing you can do to have a partnership with someone is to have two strong people together, two people on the same team, two people who will have your back. And I noticed then that like the more successful I became, the less people that asked me out. So then I'm thinking
they were intimidated.
What's wrong with me? And then when I met Bill, he is a powerhouse of a man. He's like, oh my God, there's no women like you out there. And they were intimidated. And so for all the guys listening, strong women, we are soft and fuzzy inside. We cry too. We have feelings. We just don't show that to everybody, because whatever happened to us that make us so tough is what we let everybody on the outside see. But inside, I am the most tender. I will cry at like those stupid TV commercials with the animals and the cold with the big tears. It's like, oh my God. So we're still warm and fuzzy on the inside. You just got to get past the exterior.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, so you've done that. That was before the internet things, but you always wanted to, share and teach. Now with the internet, YouTube, podcasts, what are you doing?
So I have my podcast. I'm up to almost 300 shows. So my podcast is rocking along. So I'm super proud about that. I interviewed you. So y'all go back and you look at my podcast. I have the name of the person I interviewed in the title. So find my interview, because we had super fun on my show. And I do webinars. I do online training. I do a lot of coaching. So I spend a lot of my time. I still do deals. But I spend a lot of my time helping other people, because I didn't have anyone to help me. There were no real estate training programs available at that time. There was no TV guru. There was nobody. I literally figured it out by the seat of my pants. And let me tell you, I made a lot of mistakes. And I only made those mistakes because I didn't know. I didn't even know how to sign a real estate contract. I didn't even know how to do that. I got a contract. My pen put a bunch of X's, have them sign here, and sign here. That's all you need to know. I didn't even know about what the contract even meant for the first year I was doing it. And so I was very uneducated, but I was very determined to not go back to work. I was super determined not to find a husband to take care of me, because the last one was pretty shitty. And So I really did. When I say like truly School of Hard Knocks, I never took any classes. By the time people were doing classes and doing things, I was already 200 deals in.
Mm-hmm.
So
So at what point? At what point did you start, offering online instructions? Like, at what point did you make that transition?
online, I did my first webinar. Like back, I have got a contract for the first webinar I did. I worked with this woman named Michelle Odyssey, but real estate webinars had not been done yet. I actually did the very first real estate webinar back 15 years ago. I worked with this woman, Michelle. She called me up. She said, I have a great idea. Let's do a 13-week class, online training. We're going to call it a webinar. And it was this crazy thing. I found the contract the other day. So it's dated back like 15 years ago. So I started doing online webinars then. And we sold programs. And I sold my home study courses. And I was like, wow, this is great. You know, just do it right online there. So
When was that?
I don't remember the exact year. God, I have to dig the contract out. It was like 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really, really long time ago. People were just barely trickling into the internet. But I just happened to meet a woman that was like internet super savvy. She goes, hey, I love you. We can do this thing. It's a webinar. She set this whole thing up. So for 13 weeks, we did a 13-week. We went on live, did these classes, sold like a kajillion programs. And then I talked to a few other women I knew that had like real estate groups, but weren't online yet. I said, hey, let's do these things called webinars. These are really great. And then within 3 or 4 years, everybody and their brother was doing them. But I did one of the first webinars for real estate investors like 15 years ago, like really a long time ago.
But you see, if you look at the real estate business on the flipping and rehabbing, that business is, it's capital intensive. Okay, you have to have labor, you have to raise the money, you have to buy it, you have to pay for the repairs, and then you have this other business which is very scalable. It doesn't require a lot of money. So now that you've done both, you said you're more into the online thing because probably it's more profitable and it's more scalable, and you do a little bit of deals. But like, what's the balance like? Like, do you mostly now focus on the educational side?
Well, so my husband and I don't think I told you this when I had interviewed him. I'm sure I didn't. My husband is from a small town in Iowa called Clinton, Iowa. And it's a little river. It's on the river. So it's one of those little cute river towns that used to be like the place to go. People went shopping and, bustly and trendy and stuff. And then the downtown died out. Everything moved like away from the downtown, the casinos and the hotels. And so this little downtown was kind of abandoned. And we go back to Iowa for all of his high school reunions and things like that. So 5 years ago, I said, this little downtown needs some love. Let's ask somebody what they're doing to kind of bring this downtown back. Because I don't know if you know that show. You know that show called American Pickers?
Yes.
Frank and Mike, the Pickers? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They're in the very next town, which is about 10 miles, the very next town. So we drove over there to want to go to see their store, go see the Pickers. But that little downtown was completely desolate. And it is bustling. There's antique stores and restaurants. And it's like, I couldn't believe it. And they said, yeah, once the Pickers came here, the whole town like went crazy. Well, the town the other direction is also like gone crazy. So Bill and I made the decision to get involved in this downtown rejuvenation partnership. So in this little downtown, it's 3 blocks this way from the river and it's 3 blocks that way. We have in the last 5 years bought 20 commercial buildings. So we are heavily involved in bringing back the downtown, I guess is the way to say it. So we have commercial buildings, residential, commercial at the bottom, lofts at the top. So we bought all these crazy old buildings that have been sitting for decades. Some were boarded up, but we got them super cheap. Super, super, super cheap. And so we are like really involved in rebuilding and restructuring and working on all of our old buildings. That's like when we have free time, we go to Iowa and we work on our buildings. And I opened 3 businesses during COVID. In one of my buildings, I put in an antique mall. Another one of my buildings, I put in a little marketplace coffee shop, which is crazy, out of this world busy. And in the other little building, I put in a boutique, I put in an event center. So we opened a few businesses to kind of help. And investors are coming in from all around. They're buying buildings, they're opening businesses. And we're trying to make it like a little shopping destination, because antiquing is really big in the Midwest. People that antique spend the whole weekend in a town, going into every store, picking up every item. And so I am rehabbing a downtown.
Mm-hmm.
My very biggest project to date. It's a big project. We bought a lot of buildings. And so we're rehabbing a downtown.
Yeah, wow, cool. So you're still involved in that. But what about on your educational side? Are you like really involved in the business?
Yes, we have a lot of webinars that run for subject twos, short sales, wholesaling. Those are three of the easiest ways for people to get into real estate. I don't have any webinars on buying houses, fixing them up, and selling them. Because like you said, people have to have money. It's labor intensive. The prices of the goods have gone up. It's insane. So I do focus on three ways people can invest in real estate that really don't cost any real money. A subject to doesn't, you get someone to deed to a house, you sell to somebody else, doesn't cost you any money. Wholesaling, you find someone, you get the house on a contract, you sell it to a landlord, you're just the middleman. So I do have three webinars that I do focus on those three topics, because people can really do them truly with like just a nano dot of money. I have gotten away right today of teaching the rehabbing and all the stuff like that, just because everything costs so much. Like plywood's 3 times, 4 times the cost of what it was. And your $25,000 rehab is a $75,000 rehab. That doesn't change the value of the house. So as far as the rehabbing part, we're working in our own little town right now.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so when you teach people and you help people with real estate, do you find it like what kind of percentage do you know that people actually follow through and do something, or how much is it like, oh, they watch it, yeah, maybe I'll do it, but they never get around to it?
Well, a good example, I used to work at a health club, a gym, and we would sell cajillions of memberships. And in the beginning, I was like, holy cow, all these people bought a membership. How are they all going to fit in this building? And they go, well, only 10% of the people that buy the membership actually use it. So if every single person, like, I don't know, Planet Fitness, if every single person that had a Planet Fitness membership showed up into the building, they wouldn't have enough room to take care of people, even though they have like 15,000 square foot spaces. So way back then was the first time I was exposed to the concept of like, who spends money and then doesn't do it? Because if I spend money on your program, I'm doing your program because I spent money on it. But I'm that person that follows through with things. So I think in the real world of people that sell products, in the giant big picture, about 10% of the people actually do it. Some people will close a deal, a second deal, a third deal, but people that go, hey, I'm going to turn my life around and make this my full-time business, it's probably just 10%. And that's too bad, because it's like, and I'm that person. I have once someone joins into my program, they get into this little private group there. And I'm like, hey, where have you been? Hey, you haven't been asking me any questions. Hey, what are you doing? I have these accountability sheets I make people fill out and send me every week. I really try to push people to do what they say and they think that they want to do. I don't want to just sell a million programs and I don't care what happens to anybody. I care what happens to all of them.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the few people that will literally call people and say, hey, I haven't seen you. What have you been doing? You were working on a deal. What happened to your deal? Like, let's go. Let's go. You can't just like buy my stuff and then just disappear off the face of the earth. But I don't know. I probably have a little bit higher percentage of other people just because I actually follow up and stay in touch with people. But a lot of people, they buy the shiny objects, they buy the things. They've got 18 products on their shelves from all the trainers and all the speakers, and they've never done any deals.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fantastic. How can people get in touch with you?
My website is dwanderful.com. So DWANDERFUL. So my name is Dwan. So, you know, I took Dwan and made it Dwanderful because how wonderful am I?
All right. Fantastic. Any final thoughts that you might have before we wrap this up?
Well, you know, I think, especially knowing that your audience is a lot of men. Now, I mean, I might be wrong. I don't know, but I'm not a man. But I know that a lot of men have a fear of failure. They also have a fear of success. Sometimes they think they want to do something, but then it's not as easy. And same with women. And they don't do it. And I'm just like, you know what? If you're listening to you're listening to me, you're in the business and you have a chance, take that chance. Because if you don't take the chance, you will 100% fail for sure. But you didn't take the chance. And if you take the chance and you fail, you can still correct and you can try again. So just don't not try.